think it is worth spending a little bit of time on Kyle Schwarber and all that surrounds him. Does he return to the Phillies? Is there a surprise team that gets involved for him? He is such a popular person. Anybody that you talk to brings that part up. But let's also not forget, Kratz, as you see it in Philly very often, how powerful he is and how he kind of looked better than ever this past season. I think that's what's getting people excited too is, do we have someone that's going to age like Big Papi? I mean, in terms of production, stats-wise, Big Papi never really tailed off.
I think you do. I think he's that guy.
So if that's the case, what happened here, and is that why he's being talked about so much, despite being a DH, where often you can get to this point in your career, Kratz, and they're throwing 1 or 2 year deals at you. Schwarber's going to get 5. And feel free to mix in that we're bringing this up because the Pirates reportedly offered him 4 years and maybe something above $100 million. Ken Rosenthal putting that in his notes column yesterday. I'm going to go with JB here because I commented right after it was posted yesterday, Kratz. I'm like, oh, hey, Pirates, welcome to the dance for the first time ever. You're going to throw an offer out there that you know is not going to get it done. Like, usually it's like, if you're Pittsburgh and you know you got to state a strong case, you better really put it together and do something strong. Force him to say no, or at least put something out there that you know is going to be at the top of the competitive offers. This is not going to be that. They, like Jim Bowden said, you need to offer 6, at least 5. The fact that they put a 4 out there to me means they don't know what they're doing in the hot stove world.
All right, well, you made 2 comments there. 1, Schwarber as a player and person on the market. 2, the Pirates. So I'll first address the Pirates part of it. The Pirates are like that dude who went to a charity auction, knew he had no chance of getting anything that was out there, and was like talking to somebody like this as they were bidding, and he just like scratched his head, and they were like, right there in the red hat, we got 4 years, 100 million, and the Pirates were like, oh boy, somebody else is going to offer, right? Like we don't have that money. I'm not in. Going once, going. Oh boy, this is bad. So no, the Pirates aren't going to get Schwarber. That was cool. If they really wanted him and they really didn't want to make this whole case of like, oh, see, small market teams. To me, it feels like a Major League Baseball ploy. Like, oh, small market teams, like the Pirates, they tried on Kyle Schwarber. We tried so hard, but it's just not fair. We weren't able to go quite far enough. So that, to me, is just whatever, you're out. Kyle Schwarber as a player, the fact that at this age, guys like him only get maybe a 2-year deal shows what we were talking about with JB, what he means in the clubhouse. But to me, I think it more means what kind of changes he made last year. The fact that he lowered his strikeout rate. The fact that he hit the most left-on-left home runs. Because he's a DH. I doubt any team that's in contention is going to say, Kyle, we need you to play left field for 2 years. Then you'll be a DH for the last 3 to 4 years of his contract. He made those adjustments because teams can't afford to lock up DH for 5 years at $30 million a year. And for him, he did this and he continues to do this. He continues to pursue what makes him a better hitter and what makes him be the best, most valuable hitter on the field. And he's valued that much in the clubhouse too.
Hey, I got a question for you, Kratzy. We're talking about the Pirates, right? What changed for the Pirates? What changed for the Pirates and now they have to spend this money? Because for years, all we heard was, we can't spend money. Did they find a pot of gold at the end of a rainbow?
No, there's a really good article.
Or did MLB go to them like they did with another team and say, you have to spend or we're getting this big grievance filed against you?
Mm-hmm. That's the answer. You're asking Kratz. Ask me. I'm the nerd.
Okay, well, I'm asking both of y'all.
It's
That's why
100,000 billion% the answer. They have to do it. The lockout is looming a year away, so this is one of those forced pushes, just like it was last year with the A's, that they have to do this. It's also in their best interest because if they don't do this, there's an internal battle. And Hal Steinbrenner is the prime example. He speaks about this publicly. He'd like to see the dollars that he gives those teams actually go towards player payroll and competition versus it being shoved in a pocket. So anyway, add that all up. We can go all day on that.
By the way, has any – Mark just put a great point in the chat. No team ever has been more eager to tell everyone they're making offers. But they're not real – they're not what Jim Bowden said was the best thing ever, because we say it all the time. If you're the Pirates and you haven't won in forever, you have to go over and above to get these players. They're not just going to wake up one morning and be like, Kyle Schwarber's not going to wake up one morning and go, you know what, I got an offer from the Phillies, I got an offer from the Pirates, and I got an offer from the Yankees. I'm just throwing a random third team out there. And he's going to say, I'm going to the Pirates.
Yep, that's it. I want to be different. I want to do something different to finish my career. Wait, Kratz, I loved your analogy. I'm going to play to it even a little bit more. I think they're at the auction, and it's a high-priced item that's super popular. You know it's going to go for a lot. So what do? Within the first second, you raise your hand, and you just do one of the first offers, because then you can say, hey, I bid on it too. I eventually lost, but I did bid on it too, right? Because it's kind of the first one that has been publicly shifted out there for Schwarber. We haven't heard any team,
but they just keep throwing.
Wise.
Remember Naylor? We tried on Naylor. We were
Ken,
15 million short.
Ken
but
said
we tried.
They didn't actually formally even make the offer.
Yeah, I mean,
so
hey,
it's cute. And the one good thing, Kratz, I don't want to completely trash them because it's easy to do it all the time. The one good thing is I do actually think that they're going to break their curse, and they're going to sign someone that is going to be more than Ivan Nova, right? This is the last time that they've given out a multi-year contract. I think they will do a 2+ year deal to someone. And I actually do think they'll also beat what I believe is their highest free agent price ever, which was 3 years, $39 for Francisco Liriano. I think they will beat both of those things because 'tis the season. They have to do it with the lockout looming.
Yes, I agree with you. I think they're going to make a splash. And I think part of the reason, you said maybe what has changed. You know what? You have Paul Skeens. You have a golden ticket. You do have a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow that is going to be gone in 2 years. That is going to be gone in possibly a year and a half if you don't make some kind of splash. Not a 5-year or a 4-year splash, maybe more in the 2 to 3 year range. But for me, I say history. Who has ever needed to do this? Who has ever needed to make a splash that you're like, man, I can't believe it? I will always bring up the Jayson Werth. Jayson Werth called his ex-teammates with Philly and said, how can I not? He's like, I want to come back. I want to sign back. You got to remember, they were in the middle of that run where they were winning the division. They had won the World Series. They had gone to the World Series. They lost to the Giants. And Jayson Werth got offered $120-some million for 7 years. His next closest offer, from what I heard, was $77 million. So if the Pirates want to get in on somebody, not saying it's Schwarber, but somebody that's going to change their franchise as far as like, ooh, now I want to go there because they got Paul Skeens and this player, it has to be in that realm. You're talking about over $50 million that the Nats had to offer Jayson Werth 3 extra years to make them come to relevance. And that was 2010-11. And they didn't win until 2019. So you got to make some kind of splash that's going to be more than what is going to be on the market.
Agreed. What did Jim Bowden say about the Tigers? They went out and got Pudge Rodriguez, and they overpaid him. And everyone's like, why did you pay? And then they went out and got Maglio the next year. And in 2006, they were in the World Series because they had Verlander and Kenny Rogers, and they went and got all these guys that Carlos Guillen, remember they brought him over. And it was like, wow, the Tigers are really trying. And then when they made another run, they went out and got Prince Fielder. And they went out and got that whole crew of guys, right?
Yeah, you can change the narrative pretty quickly.
Especially in a Central Division.
And with Skeens.
And Jared Jones. And Bubba Chandler. And Mitch Keller already there.
You have a top 2 pitcher in the sport.
I'll say that the Pirates may even be more set up than what the Tigers were set up last season, to go on a run because of the fact that they have Jared Jones. They have those pitchers, and they have Skeens, who is their Skubal, who has shown he's actually been more dominant than what Skubal has. So you've seen what teams can do. Add to it a little bit. Like do something. Don't waste it again.
Okay, AJ mentioned the Tigers. Let's go there next. By far, the biggest trade would be if Tarik Skubal gets moved, whether it's this week or not. I mean, I also want to be real with everyone. The winter meetings are awesome. There's no obligation for anything to happen during these 3 days. Sometimes it's chaos. Sometimes nothing happens. Just letting you know. It's not like there's some deadline or something, but we're all here. The industry's here. It is cool. But just throwing that out there in case you're like, well, they said that this might happen and it didn't happen. Oh, it could happen a month from now. Tarik Skubal was written about by Ken Rosenthal this morning and the Tigers in general, and how if they're going to keep him, you got to take your best shot to win in 2026. You have the best pitcher in the American League.
Well, if you have
for
Skubal,
one more
go get
season or none.
reinforcements.
If they and get reinforcements, and then the other side of the coin is
If you don't trade him, if you don't trade him,
if they do trade him,
then
who's going for him?
Dodgers, Yankees.
Oh man, if the Dodgers get
Tarik
Skubal, people are going to be so pissed.
Remember how the Dodgers ruined baseball last year?
Well, guess what? Here's the thing. If the Dodgers get Tarik Skubal, they did not outbid every other team money-wise.
No.
They outbid them prospect-wise, right? That's what it would be, and maybe some major league talent involved in there as well. But if that's the case, other teams didn't make a good enough offer.
If they get him and they're running Yamamoto, Skubal, Snell, Glasnow, holy crap! I don't want to play in that series.
Yeah, if
I'm
gonna
have the back. Kratz, my back. Oh man, my back all of a sudden is sore.
If I'm a team, Kratz, like let's just say the Blue Jays, because they lost to them just now in the World Series, I'm like, hey, Detroit, if you're really trading him and the Dodgers have the best offer, call me at the end, and I'll do something so dumb. I'll unload like my farm system and a major league pitcher just
you can have
to
my top
prevent
30
it.
prospects,
Right? Just to prevent it. Because that's the thing. I mean, they pick at the back of the draft. They don't get as much money to spend in the draft. Like, the draft is the most capped system there is, and the Dodgers still are pumping out prospects. So if that happens, the rest of the league fucked up.
I mean, in my opinion, like you stopped at the Yankees and Dodgers when you were talking about teams, because, I mean, you can throw the Blue Jays in there. The Phillies have to be in there. There's even small market teams. You're talking about a trade. You're talking about the fact that you have a guy who took a team who, when you take him off of that team, doesn't make the playoffs. When you take him off of that team, doesn't win a playoff series. And you've seen what the Tigers have done. So to me, it's not just those big market teams. To me, if the Brewers don't trade Freddie Peralta, the Brewers should trade for Skubal. It's 1 year. It's a prospect. It's prospects that you're getting rid of. And if they do it now in the offseason, whatever team would trade for him, you're getting a draft pick in the end because he's going to sign for $300+ million.
Prospects are all suspects.
But here's the thing. So let's take the other side of this. Ken wrote this morning. I'll summarize. But if you're Detroit and you're keeping him and you're deciding I'm not going to get a massive return for 1 year of one of the best pitchers in the sport, then you're assuming, right, you're aiming for a World Series title. You need to be able to look at your roster and say, yep, I did everything that I could do. Even if you need to scale it back next year, payroll, whatever it is, that's fine. You're telling yourself this is the season. So if you are doing that, he pointed out how their front office leader, Scott Harris, can be somewhat risk averse and look for diamonds in the rough. I know, but some more than others. And he said, look at the trade deadline last year, avoided getting uncomfortable, and look at some of the other things that he's done in prior off seasons. He did make a push for Alex Bregman, so you would think maybe they get involved for someone like that again. But I think the point was valid. You either sit down, I think he needs to sit down with his ownership group, Chris Ilitch, and he needs to say, hey, are we going hard this offseason? If not, we should trade Tarik Skubal.
Listen, almost every GM is risk averse now because they don't want to be the one that gave up this player and he became something. They don't want to be they don't want to be AJ Preller, right? Preller gave up his players, and if some of them turned into something, you know what? But he's like, screw it, I went for it, right? You don't want to be the guy who gave up Tatis for James Shields, right? And if you get a ring, like Kratz is saying, that doesn't matter. But I just we've had this conversation on the show all the time. More GMs are afraid and talk themselves out of making the move instead of just making the move. Just make the move. Just if you want the player, like Jim Bowden just here, if you like the player and you want the player, go get the player. Worry about the other rest later.
I've never asked Jim this because I know what his answer would be. But if you're a GM, do you want to say, man, did I do it great for 7 years? I built up one of the best farm systems that I could ever do. You know what? We had a we won 54% of the time? Or do you want to say, you know what? I worked for 4 years. We got a ring. Or, you know what? I worked for 4 years. Just fell short. I pushed it. It was the time. I look at the Tigers and the Brewers, and I say, if the Brewers don't trade for Tarik Skubal, then the Tigers should trade for Freddie Peralta. Like you sit there and you go, there's times when teams could be one starting pitcher away from giving this team and this city the best chance to win a World Series. And I have a hard time, and maybe this is because I'm an idiot player, ex-player. I have a hard time believing that is the wrong thing to do, because this is your window. This is your chance. You're never going to get an opportunity to sign a guy for 5 years, $150 million. So you might as well go for it in this way. There's different ways to go for it. And financially, the long-term deals to Kyle Tucker or Shohei are never going to happen for your org. Bring the championship to your city this way.
So what do you want to do if you're Detroit? Right, over the
Here's
weekend
my
they got a
for you guys.
KBO guy. But
before
okay.
we talk to Detroit, I want to ask Kratz and you a question. There was a guy we're going to have on the show tomorrow. He is the new general manager, president of baseball ops of the St. Louis Cardinals. He went to Boston, okay? Built up their farm system. All the guys that we're all talking, Roman Anthony, Marcelo Meyer, he's the one that drafted and developed them all, right? He got shit canned, right? Sorry, Heim, you're out. Craig Breslow in. Ask him. We'll ask him tomorrow. What do you think he would rather do? If he looks back on it, they told him to trade Mookie Betts. They told him to build up the farm system. He did all those things.
He doesn't have a choice.
But he didn't win, and they got rid of him. So do you think he's like, damn, if I would have just traded Marcelo Meyer and Roman Anthony and got better players at the big league level that were ready at that time, I'd still have that job. That's basically what Kratz is saying. And we have the perfect guy coming on tomorrow in Heim Bloom who did that, got let go, and now he's going to have to do it again in St. Louis. This guy knows he has the map to how to do this.
That's why it's a tough job, though, because you have to thread the needle. You do not have the ultimate say. Newsflash. The owner does.
I agree.
So he has to listen to the owner who says, hey, we got to trade Mookie Betts. You're the guy. You got to do it. And he might say, hey, I'd rather actually trade some prospects, re-sign Mookie long-term. It's not up to him. And then you have to thread the needle of getting them to the next great Red Sox team, even though you were just given, like, a really bad directive. And if you don't, you're out, and they move on to the next person. Okay, for the Tigers, I mean, I'm just throwing this out there. We're not going to spend a lot of time on this, but they signed a guy named Drew Anderson. He had been overseas for 4 years, one of the better pitchers in the KBO. We're seeing a lot of this lately. There are more of those players. Well, that's because
they were able to sign. The deadline came where they were able to become, like, basically free agents, so that's why.
Right, then they come over. Yes. So, has improved himself out there, high strikers, blah, blah, blah. That's great. Might be a starter. Now let's talk deep end. What should the Tigers do if they're keeping Tarik Skubal that is realistic for them? I think another big boy starter with Skubal. And what are we doing with the offense? There's definitely some good pieces,
they need
but
somebody
you
that
watch
can put
them
the ball
in the
in
playoffs.
play.
Dude,
they strike out so much.
That's what I'm saying. So you want then? I mean, ideally you want a contact slug guy because that's the perfect bat. I mean,
there's a guy that plays third base that their manager has a very long history with. That's a free agent this year that they didn't get.
And they got close last year.
Yes. Continue.
Bregman would look really nice in that lineup.
It would look very nice. And my understanding was the Tigers pumped out a number from their computer projections and said, we're sticking to this. We don't believe that he's got something better. How did that go?
Not good.
Not good.
If they would have had one more hitter, they could have won that series against Seattle.
Exactly.
I mean, Skubal pitched great twice and lost.
That was
twice.
the difference. Yep.